Hey guys, Tarke here. I want to talk about my new favourite skill, Poisonous Concoction, while running some chill maps, leveling up some gems, and just kind of talking about PoE. So, why is Poisonous Concoction my new favourite skill? It's basically as if you took traps and caustic arrow and you did this, and you're like, but Tarke, it's not a trap, it's a trap. So, I've never actually played Poisonous Concoction before this point. I played Explosive Concoction when that first came out. I wasn't that impressed by Explosive Concoction, and my thoughts when I played that was, this is just traps, but clunkier. Because it has the whole trap playstyle of, you see the enemy, you throw this thing, it detonates on impact, except for rather than having to wait for the trap to trigger, it's like throwing grenades. And for whatever reason, I didn't really like Explosive Concoction. I was just like, it's kind of clunky. If I wanted this playstyle, I'll just play traps. Why would I ever go for that? Whereas Poisonous Concoction gives you the trap playstyle, but with Chaos degens, which, I mean, it's literally perfect for me, right? So even though I've known for quite a long time that, yeah, I would probably quite enjoy Poisonous Concoction, I never really got around to it because I was just like, well, if I want to do like a Poison Pathfinder, I would rather play something like Scourger. There's a couple of different builds I'd rather play. And it was like a very well documented, very well tried build. Like, it got solved quite quickly. You had people who were like speed mapping with it on Occultist, and then you had a bunch of people doing it on Pathfinder. Every now and again, you'd maybe see like some random dude doing like an Assassin Perfect Agony build, which was kind of interesting. I actually very nearly league started a Poison Concoction setup, and I was picking between either doing like Assassin, or Pathfinder stuff, but I'm like, it's, oh, yay, whetstones. It's so, like, well-tested. Yeah. And then I was looking at the new tricks, and I thought, oh, maybe the new tricks would be pretty good for this. But I was just so busy around leagues that I didn't really have the time to sort of, like, really sit and look at it. Then the league comes around, I'm having fun, I'm playing my traps, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should do some, like, Trickster builds to lead this league, and I just kept dropping really good poison gear. And then the thing which really won me over was I dropped a near-perfect pair of snakebite gloves. And that's when I'm like, okay, I have to do a poison trickster build. So there's a particular node, which this is nothing new. A couple of people have done this. I think Palstron's the main person who's really like got an awareness on this. Swift Killer, 200% increased charge duration, +2 frenzy charges, awesome synergy with snakebite, because snakebite gives you a bunch of reduced charge duration, but that's completely offset by this, and gives you a bunch of bonus attack speed, accuracy, and dot multi per frenzy charge. So you can kind of see the synergy there. You basically stack a bunch of charge duration, stack a bunch of frenzies, and you're good to go. You could also very easily get permanent max uptime on endurance charges through the Eldritch Implicit on chess. I've just been unlucky in not being able to get it. Oh god, are any of these good? Let's just say those are all trash. And yeah, one of the implicits is gain a endurance charge every like X seconds, like it's usually like every 10 or every 15 seconds. I've got so much duration that I can have 100% uptime. Because my charges last for like 40 seconds. I think it's 45. My frenzies last for 35 base because I've got 70% reduced. But like endurance charges, you can see somewhere under my buff bar. Yeah, they're like 45-ish seconds or something silly. So anything which just automates like one, just perm uptime. Really nice. So, long story short, I've been really enjoying this build. I can't really sing its praises enough. And that's despite the fact this build should have like a lot of really big quality of life issues. So one of the really nice things about doing this build as an occultist is you get the chaos explosions, which gives you a really nice clear. If you do this as a pathfinder, you get poison prolif. You also get a bunch of inbuilt AoE from the Ascendancy. I have none of that, and yet despite having no like quality of life clearing stuff, and having quite a small base AoE, I love this ability. Despite not having like an automated wither setup from a cultist, not having automated flask or anything silly like that, this skill just feels really, really fun. I cannot rate it enough. So if you've not yet tried Poisonous Concoction, just try it. I think this is also true of Explosive Concoction, but I am Team Poison Concoction for life now. You really don't need to be playing, like, a Pathfinder. I think a lot of people, when they saw these, they're like, oh, so you're throwing your Flask, you're going to always be running out of Flask charges, you're going to need to go, like, crazy stacking charges. You need very little. Like, you can see I can just stand here attacking all day, and I will not run out of Flask charges. Just a teeny little bit of passive generation on the tree, you're good to go. I've got, like, no increased Flask charges here. This is literally just from Pantheon and this, and we're good to go. I am using 2 flasks. If you go down to 1 flask, then you chunk it a little bit more, you can see, because it takes everything just from the 1 flask. But if you have 2 flasks, because it splits its use between the 2, you're absolutely fine. You can attack anything in a single target scenario. No worries whatsoever. And even then, that was pretty much like non-stop attacking, and you can see it fills up quite quick. But with 2 of them, you're never going to run out. Even with like full Vol Haste popped, crazy attack speed, just with it swinging between the 2, you're good to go. Good to go. So I guess let's quickly, I'll show off the Ascendancy, because the Ascendancy explains a lot of my tree and my gear choices. So Swift Killer, as mentioned, we're doing a bunch of Frenzy Charge stacking, which has really nice synergy with Snakebite, giving us increased attack speed, increased accuracy, and dot multi per Frenzy. Feels good. The increased duration offsets this, enables a bunch of permanent uptime of endurance charges. Good to go. Polymath. 3% more damage for each different type of mastery. I currently have, I want to say, 10 different type of masteries, and I'm missing 3 more. And it also gives me a bunch of percent life gained on kill. If you've got 10% life gain on kill, it feels immaculate for mapping. The quality of life is just unrivaled. It feels so, so good. 1 step ahead is giving me a little boost to my action speed. Really nice in SSF, because it's quite hard getting like tailwind boots in SSF. So it's giving me attack speed, it's giving me movement speed. It also makes me immune to freeze. I still can get slowed by, there are some slow effects in the game which don't hit your action speed. But this makes me shrug off most slows in the game. And it also slows nearby enemies a little bit by offsetting their action speed. Very, very nice. And then Heartstopper, dude, I cannot rate Heartstopper enough. So before the league came out, I'm like, guys, Heartstopper is way better than people give it credit. I've had 2 Bay class episodes talk about how I think this is way better than people give it credit. Heartstopper, when you get it, you just mitigate so much damage. Tilly, don't shout at people. Sorry, that's the dog. So a lot of people look at this and they go, why would you ever want to take either 40% less damage or 40% damage over time? Because it rotates between the 2. You have your little buff up here. See, this is less damage over time. You get a little icon above your head, little gold boy. Then it changes over to a little bluey green boy, and that's the hits. You're like, why would you want that? Like, what, you meant to like time it perfectly to stand in shaper slams? No, you're not meant to stand in slams. Basically, what this does is it just mitigates so much just random incoming damage while you're mapping and you're bossing. Everyone always complains about how maps these days are covered with random floor degens. There's cold snaps everywhere, there's caustic grounds everywhere, there's burning grounds everywhere. Half the time you're taking like no damage. You're always taking random stray hits here and there. While bossing, most bosses do a mixture of both hits and degens at the same time. Heartstopper is always just mitigating damage. You just take it as an average, just like average 20% at the time. Sorry, 20% less damage all the time. Trust me, you feel so much tankier. As soon as you anoint it, you just feel like, yeah, this feels good. It feels really good. Trust me, play with it. You'll just like, you won't notice it. Like, that's the thing as well. It's like with the old dodge builds where your dodge cap, spell dodge cap. It just like mitigates stuff. Like, you really don't need to think that hard about it. You will just like, you'll equip it and suddenly you'll be like, oh, I don't die anymore. Trust me, it feels really, really nice. So, because of the ascendancies you have, you're like, well, why didn't you go for Escape Artist? Why didn't you go for this? Why didn't you go for that? So I picked up a Devouring Diadem completely unplanned. I did my last Mastermind on my other character, my Lightning Trapper, and it just happened to drop a Devouring Diadem with increased duration of ailments you inflict while focused. And I was like, wow, I guess I'm using this now. So this is awesome. This means I don't need to run a life tap. Before I had this helmet, I was running a life tap. And even if you don't have this, you can run life tap, no worries. I have some tech for that, which I'll talk to a little bit later. But yeah, this lets us run a bunch of manas off our aura. This would actually also enable us to use a Divine Blessing aura as well, but I currently just haven't worked out what I want to drop from my gem setup. But I could run 4 auras and then an additional aura off Divine Blessing, because then this is the really cool thing about Devouring Diadem. So it gives you Eldritch Battery. Eldritch Battery is this node. Spend Energy Shield before mana. And you can see I can spam attack all day, and will never run out of Energy Shield. So basically, I don't know if it's a bug, but it's pretty much always been like this. Devouring Datum has one line of text which reads 10% chance for Energy Shield recharge to start when you use a skill. This just always starts. For whatever reason, it's like whenever you use a skill, it just starts. So like, I attack, it's recharge. 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 It just always recharges. It's always been like that. Don't know why, it just always has been like that. I do also happen to have, I think somewhere, I think it's on like a jewel or something. Yeah, I have a little bit of ES recharge. You don't need any of that rubbish. This alone just solved all your problems. You really don't need any energy shield at all. And so when I got that, I'm like, well, there's no point doing this setup because it's like, there's no reason like stacking a really cool evasion chest and getting a bunch of stuff. I'm too far away doing like Eldritch Brain Mind Over Matter stuff. Screw that rubbish. Spellbreaker, I really rate Spellbreaker. Really cool node. Very nice defenses, but I've been really enjoying this setup. So it's good vibes to me. One step ahead makes you immune to freeze. I use a temp shield, which makes you immune to shock. And that covers most dangerous things for mapping. Ignite can be annoying, but Heartstopper mitigates Ignite a lot of the time. Feels good. I've got a bunch of passive recovery and regen, so I'm A-okay to all the base sort of elements while mapping. I have actually got the option to stack Chance to Avoid Ailments on a few gear pieces, so I could go for total recovery that way, and that would open me up to a few setups. But also, I'm currently filling in nodes. I will have 50% block, 50% spell block, plus spell suppression cap, plus a bunch of evasion, a bunch of mitigation, a bunch of recovery. And this is basically just like a really smooth mapping character. And yeah, really rate it. So, let's, I guess, go over the tree real quick, and then we'll go over the gems. I kind of need to like jump around quite a lot in this character because it's like everything I'm doing is because of like a mix of either Ascendancy or gear choices, right? So, yeah. Rooting through a bunch of early damage, rooting through a bunch of life. I personally am not a fan of shield charge gameplay. Because of that, I've been really focusing on nodes that give some passive movement speed. If you like shield charge gameplay, then I would lean back on that and I would stack more attack speed. But I don't like spamming movement skills. I like to run. I don't know why. I've just always preferred running. It just feels way smoother to me. I think also, especially this league, because the Lake of Kalandra, the actual league mechanic is quite awkward to like charge through. So anyway, root through a bunch of early damage. Absolute breeze level. This is, I think, the easiest character I've ever leveled in any league in recent memory. Like, I rate this build for leveling more so than leveling trappers. And I play a lot of trappers, and it's just unbelievably smooth. The fact you don't need any weapons or anything, and it's just all based off gem level and life flasks, is just, oh, it's so breezy. Anyway. Read through a bunch of early damage, come down. I will come back up for these points, I just haven't got them yet. Gets a little bit of mana reservation. This, plus the Devouring Datum is enough for me to run Grace, Malevolence, Herald of Agony, and Tempest Shield. So I've got like 2 defensive and 2 like offensive auras. Very nice. Then grab some Grace Reservation, grab some Life Recovery. This here is enough for me to sustain my life loss forever. Because I use 2 life loss in my setup, I can attack as much as I want. It splits the life loss usage between the 2. I will never run out of charges. I do also use the Soul of Rislava Pantheon, but you don't need to. But yeah, you'll see I'm absolutely fine forever doing my stuff, and I don't like have any increased flask charges gained on my belt. I don't have any increased flask charges gained anywhere on my tree. This is all you need. You do not need to be playing a Pathfinder. You do not need to be playing like a Scion. That's enough. Feels great. We get some increased poison speed. Get some spell suppress vibes. Get a bunch of accuracy from deck stacking. Get frenzy charge. get some spell suppress, get some poison duration. I'm anointing this just because it's cheap. No other reason to. Another source of life flask charge gain when I suppress spells, but we're mostly just taking it because it's a bunch of spell suppress for 2 points. Some life. Marks. You're like, hang on. Oh, Tarke, no. Please tell me you're not using the new Alchemist mark. No, I'm not. I'm using Poacher's mark. Poacher's mark. This is the secret life tap tech I was talking about. I actually really rate Poacher's mark for poison builds because it gives flat physical damage to hits against cursed enemies. And to poison, you poison with either fizz or flat chaos damage. So this adds a bunch of flat fizz damage. And because Poison Concoction, we stack projectiles, so we're stacking Greater Volley and GMP, we get a whole bunch of overlaps, which means we get to like stack up that flat fizz with multiple hits, and we also get to stack up the life gain on hit. So we actually get like a very nice chunk of sustain and damage. It's like a really nice middle ground between going for like just a despair, which is purely offensive. I guess Temp Chains would also be another middle ground curse because it slows enemies, which is defensive, but it also increases poison duration on them, so that could be another option. But it also enables Frenzy Charge gain on hit. So we get 5% from the Qual, and again, we're hitting them multiple times because we overlap. And then we have the Mark Mastery giving me an additional 10%, so we have 15% chance to gain on hit, which means we always sustain full frenzies, even on single target bossing encounters. While we also gain Cull, which is really nice for a damage over time build. Come across, grab some ailment duration. I tried doing some Iron Reflex stuff. I didn't really enjoy it. I feel like the build feels smoother with evasion stacking. And now this is more bonuses for stacking frenzy charges. More bonuses for stacking frenzy charges. And I'm currently filling in these nodes for a little bit more damage, more defenses for my shield. Then I'm going to take all this block. We take Versatile Combatant, and because I've got a really nice stacked, my cam is blocking it, because I have a really nice stacked block shield, a nice little 35 chance to block there, woohoo, and the fact we run Tempest Shield, these nodes plus the 1% chance to block per 5 block mastery, with this puts me at 50% block, and I think I want to say 48 spell block, and I can cap my spell block for 1 point if I choose to. But it gives a whole bunch of incoming avoidance to attacks, to spells. I then have spell suppression for mitigation. I then have Heartstopper for mitigation. I'm going to have 100% uptime of endurance charges for Fizzmit. I've got Fizz damage taken converted to Ellie damage. And it actually makes like a really well-rounded character, which is super smooth for mapping. Pretty comfortable for bossing. Not the best bossing build. You'd probably rather still be a Pathfinder. But also, Polymath gives so much damage. This actually does a lot more damage than a Pathfinder, which is really neat. And the whole frenzy stacking thing is cool. It's just good vibes. Another thing which I actually quite like about Poison's Concoction is because you can't use a main hand, you need to be unarmed. You can equip a weapon you don't have the stats for. In this case, it's a 3 white socket wand. That's just more gems you can level up. So I'm leveling 3 gems here, leveling a bunch of gems and weapons up here. Just a whole bunch of Poison Concoctions because I'm only level 18. I want to get my 21. And it feels really, really smooth. So I guess I'll go over my links, go over my gear, and I'll leave a link to the path building and just sort of end it there. But yeah, so Poison Concoction, linked to Greater Volley, Unbound Ailments, GMP, Void Manip, and Vicious Proj. If you don't have a Divine Diadem, you run a Life Tap, and you will sustain your Life Tap absolutely fine. So you've got 2% life gain on kill, plus the 10% I currently have up to 13%. Means you have a minimum of 12 to 15% life gained on kill. If you kill like 2 enemies, you gain a third of your life. It is absolutely insane. Poacher's Mark, linked to Mark gain on hit. This is the life tap setup. That's how you sustain on single target. The recovery is how you sustain on AoE, but we don't have any life cost now because it's Devouring Datum. We have a level 2 precision because I had just enough mana to fit it in, which gives me a little bit of accuracy. So it's giving me a little bit of damage because I gain 8% damage for each aura I have. And then Steel Skin, which I have on Q, just depressed when I want just a little bit of extra endurance, I guess. Enduring Cry linked to Urgent Orders is just another way to burst heal without having to use my life flasks. I can spam my life flasks, but I kind of dig this. When I end up getting a endurance charge generation chest, I just haven't been able to roll it on my chest. I'll probably drop these 2 nodes for either a Divine Blessing setup. I currently run Vile Haste, so I might just do like Divine Blessing traditional haste. for more attack speed or mutant speed to make the mapping smoother. Or I could do like a Wither Totem, or I could do a Ancestral Totem for a bunch of attack speed. It's just more buttons to press, which is the only reason I'm not going for it, because I already have to press Focus and Plague Bearer, which isn't really much. It's less than what I was doing on my previous build, where I was juggling like bear traps and tornadoes and all this other stuff. And the fact that these are both instants feels really nice. But yeah. You can see we just got a bunch of spells pressed on my shield. Haven't got +1 Ami. I would like a +1 Ami, but currently we just have a whole bunch of attributes. Crafted flat chaos attacks, cool. Some attack speed, great. Bunch of resistances. Snakebite, obviously. And then my boots, I've got Withering Step, Increased Duration, Increased AoE, Plague Bearer. The increased duration means the withers I apply last longer. And I also have a fair bit of skill effect duration through stuff like Malevolence. I've got some on the tree here. And I have a little bit there as well. So my withers, they don't last forever, but they last for long enough that you can stack them up. I've also got some cooldown recovery on my boots. So I've got a pretty low cooldown on that. So I can stack it up pretty quick. And then just life resists, and I have one jewel equipped, which is attack speed, life. The area damage doesn't... I think the area damage might scale my Plague Bearer, but doesn't scale my Poison Concoction, and then reduced effective curses, so it's just like nice 2 defensive mods, 1 offensive, or like 1.5 offensive mods, because the area damage doesn't affect my Poison Concoction. But yeah, super smooth to level, super smooth to map so far. We've just been doing early stuff because I'm just leveling up gems. But yeah, new favorite character, new favorite skill. Really looking forward to pushing it, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if I ended up just doing like every Ascendancy Poison Concoction and then maybe doing like a comparison video. I've done that in the past for Corsicaro, but it's always been a bit of a slog because Corsicaro is like so gear gated, whereas Poison Concoction is just like Corsicaro but better in so many senses. It has all the strengths of Corsicaro and like the really strong base scaling, very smooth leveling, but none of the shortfalls. You don't need to craft like crazy multi-modded bows. There's some quite cool min-maxy stuff you can do. So you get a bunch of your damage gained on how well rolled your life flasks are. So you want a high item level flask, you roll saturated on it. You then want to run some Syndicate to then increase your quality on your flask. That's the next thing I need to chase, is get my 21 gem, then my 28 quality life flask, which is just like a fun little bit of extra tech. But comparing the difference between like alteration rolling a tier 1 mod on a flask compared to now stacking divines to multi-mod a bow, night and day, and you get to use a shield, which means you get to do block stuff. It is so good. So good. But anyway, I'll keep doing more updates on this character, but I just wanted to kind of like let you guys know what's up. I'm Tarke. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you've got any Poison Concoction tech for me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.